Hey everybody, it's Hannah Saulic, the head of video here at CinemaBlend with Sean O'Connell, our managing editor. And Sean, we finally got Superman, well not finally, because they literally just did screen tests, but we got Superman casting news, which is not something I was expecting to get this week.
Well, that's the thing, like such little fanfare. Like all of a sudden there was like a Hollywood Reporter tweet and it was like, they've been confirmed. And then James Gunn was like, yep, accurate.
Yeah.
And so I was waiting for like a big Comic-Con reveal or some sort of flashy presentation, and instead it was just kind of everywhere that we have a new Clark and Lois. So let's dive into it and talk about what we think about the casting.
Yeah, what do you think? What was like your initial reaction?
My initial reaction is that I think David looks perfect. I mean, and I know people are already saying like, oh, he looks like Henry. And yes, he does, but also because Henry looks like Superman. So I think that that's fine. I'm impressed by him. I know, here's the thing about both of them. I don't know a ton about their body of work. I didn't watch Marvelous Miss Maisel. I watched a few episodes of the first season with Michelle, and then she kept going through it and finished. But I've heard enough people say that like Rachel Brosnahan's performance in that show is essentially an audition for Lois Lane. Like it kind of presents of how she would be perfect for the part. Are you familiar with the show? Did you watch it?
I'm not. It's like one of that and Star Trek are like my two pop culture blind spots right now.
Okay.
But I'm definitely going to start watching it. But I remember her in House of Cards specifically.
Okay.
And being like, oh, I really like that actress. And then there was a movie a couple years ago. It was on like Amazon during the pandemic. It was called I'm Your Woman. And it was like a crime drama set in like the 70s that she starred in.
I remember that.
Which I loved. Mm-hmm. And she was so good in that. And then I also remember hearing like when they were first started doing auditions a few months ago, when I think it was the Hollywood Reporter again, like somebody had leaked that like she had delivered just a phenomenal audition that made James Gunn rethink his like age barrier. I don't know if that's true or not.
That's interesting.
So hearing those things, I'm very intrigued because whoever Lois is needs to be able to carry a lot of weight, like acting wise. Like somebody who might be more of like a newcomer would be a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to say frightening, but it gives me confidence in what's happening, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like the fact that she's sort of been through the fires of Hollywood with a, quote unquote prestige series, not quite a film franchise necessarily, but the popularity and the exposure that comes with being associated with a show like Maisel means that she's already sort of been through it. What I found really interesting about the pairings, Hannah, and I don't know if you had any sort of thought about this, is how or why, and of course I'm sure James Gunn has an explanation to this, but why each of the different actors were paired with the Superman or the Lois that they were with. Yeah, allegedly. Like it broke down to 6 actors, but really only 3 pairs.
But then apparently the next day it was just Emma Mackey with all 3 of them. But I think that was more so for scheduling purposes because I follow Rachel Brosnahan on Instagram and she's in a play right now. And so I think she had to get back. And so they just used Emma for the screen tests for the guys, even though it seemed clearly they had already made their decision. But across the board, I think I've seen very positive reactions to this casting. I don't know about you, but people seem to be like over the moon about Rachel Brosnahan and generally thrilled about David Corenswet because I think that was a big fan push.
I ended up down a bizarre rabbit hole last night on social media. Not the best place to go, but I saw someone's tweet that was saying because he's 6'4" and she's 5'3", that that women are going to come to the theater to flock just because of that. There was like a very specific, because it was like a stream of replies underneath of like people getting sweaty over the fact that he's 6'4" and she's 5'3". Is there a height thirst Twitter that I'm not familiar with?
I don't know that I want to know. Probably.
You might want to search this out, because then like legitimately people were saying like, if I knew he was 6'4" and she was 5'3", I would have ordered my tickets already. Like that was the level of I don't care what else you tell me about this movie, but the fact that he's that tall and she's short is a thing. And I didn't realize that this was a thing that culture cared enough about that it was like a marketing tact. So
And also, like, Amy Adams is 5'4" and Henry Cavill's 6'1". Like, is that not this? I don't understand.
Well,
that's
the fans love them as a pairing. Yeah, the fans do love them as a pairing. So I don't know. I never thought that was a thing I'd have to discuss with regards to the Superman casting, but
that is not where I thought you were going to go with that.
I am glad we have a tall Superman. He is tall. Are you surprised that it was like just a Twitter drop? Did you expect a bigger hullabaloo?
I think no. Well, yes and no. I think to just like give people like some insight into what's going on in the industry right now, potential actor strike coming up, because I had always thought like, oh, they're for sure going to announce it at Comic-Con, make a big splash at Comic-Con, bring the cast, announce Lex Luthor too, probably. But you said this earlier when we were kind of talking about Comic-Con specifically, of like that to me sort of signaled like, oh, this strike is happening, and we're not like, it was kind of just like, well, might as well just say it now, because like we're not gonna be able to be promoting and they're not going to be able to do anything after the first. So that was kind of what it signaled to me. But also like James Gunn has like dropped, I mean, with aside from like the DCU Chapter 1 plan that was like a little bit more of an event, like everything else has it was just like a tweet of like, yeah, Andy Muschietti's directing The Brave and the Bold, like, yeah, I'm directing Superman. Like, that's kind of just how he's been dropping information. So
yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
he has his trade partner, contacts that he sends the exclusive stories to. Do you want to see Nicholas Hoult stick around as Lex Luthor? Do you think that that's a good hire?
I love him as an actor, and if you haven't seen him in The Great, you are missing out, because it's so good. He's so good. And I would really love to see him as something. I don't know that like I get Lex Luthor vibes from him specifically, but again, he's a phenomenal actor, so like what the hell do I know?
Right.
I would almost be more curious to see him, and again, we don't know who exactly is going to be in The Brave and the Bold, but I would more like to see him maybe in like a Bat family position, maybe not necessarily Batman, although he was up for the Batman in Matt Reeves' Batman.
Yeah, against Pattinson. You know who he would kick like ass as?
Nightwing,
He'd
maybe?
be a fucking great Nightwing. He would be amazing as Dick Grayson. That would be tremendous.
Yeah, so that's kind of like selfishly where I would prefer he be. But I mean, if he delivers a great Lex performance, like again, he's a great actor. The other two names that were dropped were the Skarsgård brothers.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
What do you think about that?
I think either of them is fully capable of doing it, of course. And my initial reaction was to go with Bill Skarsgård, because I think he plays weird. But I'm neglecting the fact that Alexander Skarsgård can also play really weird, but also more intense, I think.
Yeah, what did James Gunn recently say about Lex Luthor? Like he was
pointing out on a podcast that he doesn't love the Gene Hackman version of Lex Luthor, and Hackman did sort of play it big and sort of played, as they say, to the back of the theater, with his performance. And at the time it made sense. In hindsight, it probably comes across as a little bit corny. And then of course it was, taken out of context, and, people thought that he was talking smack against Jesse Eisenberg, which was not the case.
That is silly.
He said grounded and real. I looked up the podcast quote. That's how he described it.
So that to me says he's not going more for the Injustice Lex Luthor, who is kind of like building himself a suit and, trying to match his powers, or even replace Superman in certain storylines. Like he's tried to position himself as the new Superman or a replacement to Superman. So, that might be a line they want to go down in the future eventually. But if he's grounded and realistic, then I could see someone who's a little bit more tech business side. And, this Succession, that could be an audition reel for Alexander Skarsgård for all we know.
But you know who I want to see in it? I want Chuck Woody, the Woogie. He's so good.
He
as a
would
villain,
be great.
And I would love to see him in a part like that. I think that would be really cool.
He would be great. Is it too bad because he's already been in Peacemaker? Does that kind of ruin it a little bit?
I don't know. Because we don't really know. We don't know what's going on with those timelines and all that stuff.
Let me ask a question. Do you think James rushed the casting reveal to wash away the bad taste in the mouth of the Flash box office performance?
Look, I'm sure part of him realizes that, yes, this will take the DC news away from, because like had this not happened, our video this week probably would have been like, what the hell happened with The Flash? But now we're not talking about it.
Right.
So I think so, but I also genuinely do think it just had to do with timing, and like they just held screen tests, and that was planned from the get-go to have it Father's Day weekend or whatever it was. And with the strike and Comic-Con potentially not happening with big studios showing up, like I think a bunch of dominoes had to fall in order for that to happen. But yes, I do think part of that was factored into the decision.
I want to bring up that. So I have that Spider-Man book, and I got a lot of behind the scenes stuff on Spider-Man. And one of the more interesting stories that I got was that Andrew Garfield found out he was getting the Spider-Man role at a Sony presentation in Brazil, where he was down there for Social Network, and they confirmed, Amy Pascal and Avi Arad confirmed him backstage, and he had to go out on stage then as being told he's Spider-Man. And he says, he was saying in an interview, like, if you look at my face in that moment, like I am shell shocked. And you can go find the video on YouTube of him getting introduced by Mark Webb and Avi Arad. And so sometimes these decisions really do just happen, and the people maybe get so excited that they found their person that they want to get him out there as quickly as possible.
So that's very true.
It's wild. I do think that I believe in my heart that a Comic-Con announcement was going to be the case. And once everybody sort of realized that event looks like it's fizzling a bit for this year in particular, I bet they just decided to leak the news. So ultimately, I guess we can say we love the casting. Really excited to see what they put together. I would love one day, and I don't know if we ever will get to, maybe part of a DVD, but I would love to see their audition reels, especially if Rachel's is as good as they're saying that it was. I would love to see what it was that she did that got her the part. And like I said, now I want a picture of him in costume. Just give me a picture of what he looks like, because I think that would be pretty badass. All right, vote now. Trunks or no trunks?
Me, or are you telling the audience that's watching this?
You. I want you now, and the audience in the comments down below.
All right, I'm not a costume designer, but every time I see trunks, I just laugh. And so I prefer no trunks, but I know it's not comics accurate and like blah, 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 but I'm a team no trunks, but I'm sure that there's a version of trunks that would be cool.
I want trunks. Give me trunks. All right, let us know down below. I only want your comment underneath this video to say trunks or no trunks. That's it. Team trunks, team no trunks. That's it.